Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Pantheon plus you, number 68. Can't believe we've done 68 of these things. That's just crazy. But today was very exciting. One of my favorite things to do is look at race class matrix. So I'm very excited about that. I went through and recorded the changes. And so I'm going to post that in chat. Make sure everybody has it. And then we're going to discuss the heck out of that today because that's what I personally was my favorite part of the stream. But it's not about what I like the most. It's about what you guys like the most because this is Pantheon plus you. So the community, everybody in the community gets a shot to come on. If you join our Discord and go to the green room, you can get in on the show. We will bring you in and we will let you tell us what your favorite part was, what you liked, what you didn't like. Anything goes. So that's the fun. And usually we have some devs in chat. And so they will get to hear your feedback on what you thought. So while we're waiting for people to fill the green room, Nathan, what did you think of the stream?
Well, my wish came true, and I get to be...
Halfling Dire Lords? That's your wish?
No,
I knew that was
No.
coming for you. I thought maybe that might connect with you.
No Shire Lord for me. I would definitely be going with the Dark Myrrh Paladin, baby. My wife is a Dark Myrrh. I got scared though because they were talking about the cleric, and I was like, oh no, they're gonna take the Dark Myrrh away. But no, they didn't. And then they added the Dark Myrrh for the Paladin, which I've been saying they're gonna do it, and they did it, and I'm super happy.
You can be a nice Dark Myrrh couple now. How nice!
That's right. That's right. We don't have to have half Myrrh human babies.
That's a shame.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, everything is right. Nathan's marriage can now be saved. Like peace on earth, goodwill towards men. All is well.
Still have an alt dwarf pally though, just in case anybody's wondering. There will be that.
I'm sure we're all gonna have a couple of alts running around. What about you, Therek? What did you like the most? Are you rolling a Scar Ranger now? Has this changed your mind? You're switching over now?
No, I am not making a Scar Ranger. I can't be a disgusting gremlin in my MMO home. Sorry, it's just not going to work. Yeah, the race class matrix is pretty neat. I think there's some interesting stuff going on in there. I don't know. I haven't really processed it yet. I'm not sure. I'm gonna need some time to look at it, but I'm glad that they did it. They've talked about it for a while, so it's nice to sort of finally see that come around. Yeah, the thing from the stream for me was when they were talking about sort of getting a little more clarity on the techniques and readiness being the resource attributed to it, and how that's different from the class resource. I think that they explained that really well. I've had lately had some hard times sort of trying to describe it, verbalize it, and discuss it intelligently. So I really appreciated that discussion part of it, and I'm sure we'll get into more of it, but that was the part that stood out for me.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, gameplay video. We haven't seen a gameplay video in a while now. When's the last... Like, I mean, we've seen kind of little snippets, but like where we're actually fighting mobs and stuff, it's been a while. So I think that was really nice to see. Really, really nice to see an update. No update for pre-alpha. No update for a pre-alpha or an alpha, anything like that. But just seeing gameplay is very nice to see.
Ben did make an interesting comment there, though, when he got the inevitable question, when is alpha? He did say something like, we're not ready to publicly announce it yet, or something of that nature. So it's a little bit of a better sign of which we all know they have internal dates, but to hear them say it feels like, right, somewhat nigh.
Yeah,
maybe the internal date is more locked down than we think it might be.
Yeah.
He did mention there was another thing that he mentioned sort of related to that too. Somebody was asking about a new pledge tier, and I think Ben said in chat they were going to announce that in the summer. I was looking at the chat, and if I recall, that's what he said. So, maybe this summer there will be something. Maybe that's going to sync up with with a date they have in mind. To make this new pledge more relevant to that. To meet that alpha pre-alpha testing session. I don't know, but
well, actually, I think the new tier may actually end up being like this. On this tier, you can stream the game. I think that's.
So in other words, just like take all our money right now. Like.
Take all our money. Well, the other thing too is like theoretically, right? So if they announce an alpha date, right, then that would mean the pre-alpha pledges are going away, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And that'll be the end of an era, right? Because the entire time I've been pledged to Pantheon, the pre-alpha pledges have been there. So once they take that away, the page will get shorter, and it'll just be alpha pledges from there on out. So that could make things very interesting. But if they add another like pledge, maybe a higher level pledge, and add other stuff in there, that could maybe keep things interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I know, there was lots of good stuff. I can't wait to see what the Green Room has to say about this stream, because I took a lot of notes, and I've got plenty of stuff to sort of to riff on. So, I mean, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking we're going to hear about the animations, because we've got to see a lot of new animations, which is really awesome to see. We've all been waiting a really long time to see new animations go in. So I think we're going to hear a lot of that. And I think somebody's going to have to come in here and talk about the glowing skeletons too. And we heard the laugh. We heard the laugh.
I heard that and saw that. I thought those would be a fan favorite for sure. As soon as I saw them, I'm like, people are going to love that. I mean, that's some nostalgia going on there, and just seems, primed for the Pantheon crowd. So you mentioned the animations, Nathan. I think so too. And I just want to mention in chat, we had Chroma Core in chat mentioned that I think they were talking about those animations being something that they were involved in developing. So I don't know if they're one of the new hires for VR, but I'm just putting that out there. They mentioned it. So maybe Chroma Core, if you're in chat and you want to confirm or deny that, that would be great. So, because we'd love to, give you some feedback on them.
Right.
As long as it doesn't get you in trouble with Ben Dean, that is.
Yeah, well, even if it does,
I know this, another thing I wanted to comment about was, and I know they just kind of said this in passing, but they were very focused on putting downtime back in the game. And for an EQ guy that lives and breathes and dies EverQuest, right? That's like fundamental to the EverQuest experience, right? You get your group, you kill some stuff, and then you sit down and you take a little break and you chat and you discuss how it went. You maybe plan out your next move, plan out your next strategy, or you just like, if you don't need to do that, then you're just like discussing like, well, epic weapons or what's happening on the day, politics, if you're really dangerous, like whatever you want to do. And so I think like in modern MMOs, like downtime has really been missing, and you just never get a chance to breathe. You never get a chance to basically even talk to people because you're so busy on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. It never stops.
Yeah,
it makes you behave differently too, right? Because you are going to manage your mana and your your endurance, etc., differently if you know that like this is a long haul. Depending on the group, like if the group is taking rest often, you might be more willing to burn it. If it's one of those groups that's trying to like steadily keep them coming, then you're going to be a little bit more hold backish on big attacks and stuff like that. So it just adds into that strategic way of how you flow with your combat. So that's the way I like to look at it. It's like it adds a layer to combat. It doesn't take anything away.
Yeah.
Right. Because if the combat never stops, the most efficient class is one that is always doing damage. And so as the wizard, as the ultimate burst class, right? You use all your mana and then you're done, and then you're just like, well, I guess I'm done. Right? And so that doesn't work out very well for us wizards. So I like the idea of, okay, now we regen back to full or half or 3/4 or whatever, and then we go again, and I got more resources to spend.
And it's just the whole group dynamic, right? It's you're down regenning, I'm up, plinking it with arrows and then I'm down, regenerating my class resource, whatever it is as a ranger. And it's like, we work as a team, we work in tandem, like, sort of just different phases firing at different times. That's the great thing about a game like Pantheon. And that's the great thing about old school MMOs that had more of a group focus.
Yeah, and it also gives a little extra utility to a support class to be able to do something that helps with mana regen too. so that feels really impactful and really changes the way you go about things.
And I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like I'm Scotty, like in Star Trek, where it's just like I always save that little bit, and then when the captain asks for it, I'm like, okay, I got it. Like I'm giving it all she's got. Right?
I'm gonna call you that from now on, Draq. In every
Perfect.
game we play together,
Scotty
you're gonna be
the
Scotty. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, I need some more power, Draq.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything more you want to say, or shall we get to some
we got
callers?
a big green room.
We got a big green room. Everybody's excited to talk about race classes. That's good.
Absolutely. So let's hit the green room, and let's start with Melted Wing, who I don't think we've had on the show before. So, and I saw that they were during the VR stream, they were very active. So Melted Wing, if you want to unmute yourself, I will pull you into the live chat, and then we can get to talking. So there you go. Okay, here it comes.
I'd also love to hear from anyone that maybe their class got added, like Nathan, or maybe their class got deleted.
Melted Wing. Did your class get added or deleted, or are you okay, or what?
My class got added too, but I'm still kind of torn between human and dwarven paladin. I'm kind of tempted by elf, but I think human might be a little more sturdy.
Elves can be clerics now. I'm just telling you. So, you'll be okay if you choose elf. You'll be okay.
Nothing sturdier than a dwarf, though.
You're right.
Hard to argue with that. Yeah. Well, great to have you on the show for the first time. Thanks for coming in. And what did you want to talk about? What was on your mind about this?
So I just have two real quick things. The first thing is, I put this in Discord, but I just wanted to reinforce it that Minus said next week we're going to get updates on the network stack in the newsletter. So I'm very excited about that. And, you guys are very well aware of what all that might mean.
Yeah.
And the other thing I thought was really noteworthy in this particular stream, watching the gameplay footage of the monk, was just how immersive feeling it all was. I noticed that I wasn't really paying attention to what was being said anymore, only because it felt so inviting. Yeah. And I just thought that was noteworthy.
That happens to me every time. I have a hard time listening to what they're saying while watching the gameplay, because I'm just like, I'm in there playing it just as much as they are. It feels that way, and I always have to go back and rewatch, take some notes, really process what's being said and thinking about it in the context. But so I can definitely relate to that.
For sure.
I heard Therek actually pushes the buttons on his keyboard like he's trying to actually cast his spells.
No, I was like right clicking on the screen to try and look around, like I was trying to rotate the camera. Yeah, that's great.
Gotta keep your keyboard aside that's unplugged for that, so you can really role play that you're in there.
Totally. And yeah, the networking stack is huge, right? Like everybody's waiting on with bated breath to see how that thing turns out, and I think we'll all exhale really deeply when we get some news on that. So that's a good point too, Melted Wing. So
I think that would probably also help with the community quite a bit if they could see 40 or 50 people on the screen at the same time.
That's a great point. And that's that's something that we've never seen in any gameplay stream ever, that mass scale. So that would be brand new in the history of Pantheon to really show something like that, which would be obviously a major milestone in the game's development life. So me too. Anything else you wanted to bring up?
Nope, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for stopping by, man.
Okay. Yeah. See ya. All right. Good. So that was fun. New caller and
new blood.
New blood, as it were. How about some old blood? How about Stans in the Fire joining us? So Stans, if you want to unmute yourself, I'm going to drag you in as soon as you're there. There you go. Stans, what's happening?
What is going on, fellas?
Stan's gained all kinds of options for his cleric today.
It's funny you say that, because I have 2.5 points that I kind of was looking to talk about, and cleric wasn't one of them.
You're still locked in on that dark mirror?
I am still 100% Darkmere on my cleric, but you know that I've been going back and forth between cleric and dire lord as my kind of two mains, and this update here means I am 100% on board with the Shire Lord.
Oh, our very first
Really?
Shire Lord, very first P plus Shire Lord.
Here's the thing. Like, I love those kind of slightly oddball off meta tanks, and the Dire Lord is already that little weird thing compared to the more traditional, oh, you have a warrior and a paladin. So that's points.
Okay, I got to
being
point
able
this
to be
out.
a halfling.
I got to interrupt you, Stans. 10 said stands in the dire. Love it.
Yeah, I may have to change my name in the guild Discord again, because I've been fans in the Shire for a while. So
that's right.
so like that's right up my alley. Being able to get the truly oddball tank class and race choice, but that's minor. What I do find interesting is that the breakdown between the kind of quote good and bad races, because we know they're not necessarily doing a true hard divide between good and evil races. But there are some races on the Matrix that lean one way or the other. And we've got 3 races which are kind of the universal or nearly universal races that have very broad class choices. Human and elf on the good races side, and Darkmere on the less friendly races side. The evil side doesn't really have a second truly broad race class combo on the Matrix right now. And I wonder if that's something that they're going to be addressing more down the road as they look to do these things.
Well, I don't know how long ago this was, and I think maybe they went away from it. But I remember at one point, it seemed to me like it was evil, neutral, good. I thought that was that, and so humans weren't good; they were neutral.
Neutral, yeah.
It's not clearly defined. Like it's not really clearly defined. In the lore, there isn't the Sacred Six. The first 6 races to arrive were this sort of mixture of if you divide it along those lines, it was the ogres, the humans, elves, dwarves, Archai, and Darkmer, right? So I think the Darkmer do fit that sort of mold, or they sort of fit that side of things. But I think it's actually more along the lines, if you're looking at like broad class selection stands, I think you're looking more along continental lines here rather than good and evil alignment lines, because the Darkmer are on Rainfall, and they're one of the only. I think so. The other 2 races that start out on Rainfall are Ogres and Scar, and they're very limited in their class selection. But the Darkmer aren't. So it was brought up in chat. So I'm not completely creating this. It's not my wisdom here, but because it was mentioned during the stream that them having a Paladin now available to them on the Rainfall continent is now gives Paladin like equal across the 3 different continents, I think. So
yeah, that's I don't think that truly good and evil are going to be the things that carry forward in the game, because like we all know, Visionary Realms is going for a much more nuanced take on things.
Listen, I need math. I need to add it up. 1 + 1 = 2.
No, and I think it really is more of that. We know that there are going to be some races where, because of where they start and the starting cities, they're going to have access to, especially if there are factions starting out. Access to getting that. I think getting paladins on that side of things is a big plus. So it's just going to be interesting to see if they keep that where there's a very limited number of races that have that broad of a selection, or if it morphs over time some.
I was also, I had a little thought that went in my head too about like PvP, like good versus evil PvP, Rilo Zekish, right? And if you're going to do that, you have to have all the classes available to both sides. So, maybe the PvP people are pushing their weight around it, VR.
Yeah, they could, and they could go into some really cool stuff here too with that, where they could do things like certain sects of certain races are considered evil, and then another sect is considered good, and that kind of thing. Especially since it appears as though PvP very might be an after launch thing, as far as a server. So with that said, they might have some more time to flesh that out, how they want to do it. But I'm sure, I would assume it's going to be a good versus evil server when they do that.
Yeah.
That'll be really interesting to see how they draw those lines. Yeah.
Right. Anything else, Stans?
The other thing that I noticed, and I know he's lurking here, and he was talking about it, but Tehom was mentioning the fact that resource regeneration, he was specifically talking about mana regeneration and health regeneration, is going to have that tiered regen rate when you enter regeneration state and then spend X amount of time in it. And I love that because I really don't want to see game design go back to meerkat healing.
Yeah, the way that it was described, I thought the term investment was a good way of describing it. And I actually wrote that down because you're just, the more time you spend regenning, the better you get it, like the more you get out of it. So you're just, if you want to be efficient in something, you're better off doing it for a long stint rather than just trying to quick top up here, quick top up there. It's inefficient, right? And a lot of people are very, always going to try and do things the most efficient way. So I thought that's really interesting, and I like how that's balanced. They did talk about balancing that with allowing, still giving players agency through the use of buffs, through the use of items. They're doing this in other areas too, and they talked about it on the roundtable, how they can use this tool to, even though it's a method that they've put in, they're balancing it out by allowing players to sort of strengthen or weaken it, or mitigate it, or do what they need to do to make it work for them.
Yeah, I think Draq will definitely skill up his sit fairly quickly.
He's already max level.
I'd scale up my sit for a whole different reason.
He starts at fully skill capped in sitting.
I'm mostly AFK.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought about was this system, right, where you can't just top people off, right? This makes heal over times a lot more valuable, right? Because you would cast the heal over time, then you would sit, and then the heal over time would keep ticking, but it wouldn't count against your regeneration, right? It would just keep going.
Correct. You're doing some form of healing during the time where you are sitting in that 1 through 10 seconds before you can get up to the next tier of regen. Potentially the same with damage shields.
Right.
Where hopefully you can, pop a damage shield. Maybe you have 2 healers in your party and you have the combo of a shield and a hot to top off, and both healers start into regen phase. But I just like the fact that they're going to a regen model that's going to discourage the I stand up, I cast a couple of spells, and then I just immediately sit straight back down to go into a static regen phase. It adds a layer of strategy to how you plan your casting, and I think that is a good iteration of that model.
Somebody in chat during the VR stream, I think, mentioned this really does impact groups with multiple healers in them, right? Because you really can be pretty strong in your healing. You're already strong with 2 healers, but if you can get your meditation, your mana regen, your health regen sort of synced up properly, and you're working well as a team, I think there's a lot of potential for really good group.
Yes. Because you can have one healer take a longer block of time, even if they're a backup healer. Like, hey, Draq, on your druid, can you give me 30 seconds of the tank not dying?
No, I don't heal.
So that I can get 20 seconds of a stronger regen and then pick back up from a better footing.
I'm glad that we went ahead and got that bean out of the way. That Draq is switching to Druid.
No.
I didn't know
No.
that this
Not
was where we were
happening.
going to make that announcement.
Oh, was that not common knowledge? Was I not supposed to drop that bean yet?
Well, Draq wasn't going to do it, but then he learned from the community that it's just a nature wizard.
Not a
and he's
nature
like,
wizard.
"No."
No.
And
guys
this
are
is how
awful.
Stans got kicked from the guild.
No, I'm getting all of my healing out of the way right now in EverQuest. I am done with the druid after this. It's never going to happen again. So get your licks in now, because after this, it's over.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Well, with that, Stans, you're not getting kicked out of the guild, but I'm going to kick you out of the green room.
Get them out of here. Get them nature wizards out.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in, man. It's always good to talk to you.
Yep.
Later, Stance.
All right. How about we go with Essen next? Essen's in the green room, and always fun to talk to Essen. So, Essen, if you want to unmute yourself and undeafen, there we go. Okay.
Essen never has anything to say.
No, Essen has nothing to say about anything.
We have to pry words out of him.
What's going on, Essen? Oh, okay. Maybe he is speechless this time.
No words.
Yeah, well, I have to go. Always counteractive.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to talk about the class races and stuff like that. But to me, I'm watching this whole thing and I'm watching the chat. And at the very end, somebody, I don't know who it was, says like, "Here's to another 8 years." And like, my heart sank when I saw that, because they're right. And you can't deny that. And I think VR really has to come up with a message that shows that almost 8 years in development is a positive and not a negative. We're seeing all the AAA game companies just implode with scandal and bad games over the past couple years, like the big guys, right? And the indies are like popping out of the weeds and producing the great games. Like that game Vampire Survivor, that $3 game that went on sale, by the way, for like $2. So great pickup there if you get that. I put like 60 hours into that game. It's $3 and it's great. Like,
yeah, but we're not here for another 8 years. You're not saying we're going to be here for another 8 years.
No. I'm not. I'm saying like the criticism that like that we've been here for so long and we're still in pre-alpha. That's a real criticism and it's a good criticism. And VR has to come up with an answer as to why we've been here for 8 years and why that's a good thing, and you should be grateful for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's one of those things where, we've said from the beginning, right? And it was easier to say years ago, but we said from the beginning, do it right? Like however long it takes, just do it right. That was easier to say 5 years ago than it is to say today, right? But, that is what they've done, right? So they could have just pressed forward with the coding issues they had, right? They could have just said, "Oh, well, we can't wait any longer. Maybe we can fix it sometime later down the road." But they didn't. They were like, "We're not going to release it like this because this is going to hamper the ideas and the philosophies and all the stuff we want to do. So we're just going to take out this big chunk of time. We're going to fix it. We're going to untangle all the wires." And, and it sucked. It hurt everybody's feelings. We all it took a lot of wind out of us when we learned that that's what was going on. But was it worth it? Well, now we're seeing that things are moving right along. We're seeing that things that we weren't sure were going to make it in the game are boats and all these kind of things. So it was worth it, So that's kind of the best you can do right now. There's always going to be people though who they're going to use it against them.
I mean, I just look at it like a maturity thing, right? Like it's in the game maturity is what the way I mean that is like, the game has to mature, and what we're seeing now is a more mature version of the game with these intricate combat techniques, intricate design philosophies. And that doesn't just come, within the first year or two. It takes time to plan out and to come up with ideas and come up with. I mean, we get into all the reasons for it, but you gotta let things mature and you gotta let seeds grow, and I think we're seeing the seed grow, and I think. The person earlier mentioned the networking stack. Melted Wing mentioned the networking stack being done is we're getting to a place where it's very mature, and we're not going to be here for another 8 years. And, or maybe if they are still in development for another 8 years, some of us will be here, I probably won't be, but some of us will be, but that's the way it goes, and that's okay. Everybody's got their own timelines, and you got to manage your own expectations. And, Essen, I think that, you said it well. It's just that you're going to see that, you're going to see these types of comments, and that's okay. It is what it is.
I think
ahead,
they
sorry.
dropped Eminence at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is just me. I have zero inside information. I just think I think before the end of this year, those questions are going to be answered not in this is our marketing strategy, or this was our this is what we told people and this is what got them to believe. But I think just in the moving forward of the game into alpha, that's the main thing that's going to answer that question, right? And
Yeah,
they've said we'll stream alpha, and so if we're out there streaming alpha, that's going to shut a lot of people up. And the thought and the chorus of, well, it's a ghost game and it's never going to come out, that's going to go away once that happens.
Yeah, and I'd like to mention that, they want to get the game done. They need funding to do that, and our pledges is what's funding them to be able to do the new hires, like that new animation rigor and all that kind of thing. But it's worth mentioning, I'm not going to name any names here, but I went to go check on an MMO in development today, see what the new updates are. And as soon as I went there and I clicked on the little thing for news or updates, it was page after page of cosmetic things you can buy, right? Like, the game's not even out yet. It's just page after page of it. And it's like, geez, man, way to milk your community. They could have taken that route, right? They've taken the harder route. They've taken the more valiant route, and I'm proud of them for it.
I completely agree with all of that, especially Draq, what you said about streaming alpha is going to be a huge, step forward and going to shut that down a lot. I think they have to be more clear about the differentiators, about not having a cash up, about how the game is driven by passion, how we started the game, not take that one video on YouTube. I forgot who it was, but they're saying this is a passion project, and some of these guys weren't taking pay until they could and they learned a lot of lessons. They had freaking Bragg McQuaid. He learned a huge lesson about selling out, and so this is something that they're sticking to their principles, and it's going to take longer because of that. And you're welcome.
Yeah.
Right.
What about the stream tonight, Essen? Anything there that caught your eye?
Oh man.
One thing? How about one thing?
Yeah, the graphics. Just straight up the graphics. I think if you tuned in for the first time and saw these graphics, you'd be like, okay, this is legit. This looks great. Even with the placeholders, that jackracket with that jump kick coming up, right there it is, the bunny kick. The grass looks outstanding. The rocks and everything are even going to be updated further, apparently, according to Minus, the mountains and all that stuff. But it just it looks great. It really looks like a really well done game.
It does. It looks high quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming together.
I like how it looks. Yeah, for sure. It's coming together. That's right. Cool. Okay, well, let's move on and hit the green room again. So, Essen, thanks for stopping by, man. And we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
All right. Desrin, how about we bring Des in instead of the final viewer of that tonight?
We'll breaking the cycle.
Breaking the cycle. There he is, Desrin. How's it going, bud?
Hey, guys. Wow, I was not expecting to get in before the man himself.
There's all kinds of topics for Des to choose from. He's not going to know what to do now.
For real. Do
what's in your
want
mind?
to pick one, or should I? Because, I could literally go into anything.
Leave some meat on the bone, but pick a couple.
Here. I got one for you that I think you'll like. Let's talk about the sprinting.
Ooh.
I'm already getting heckled in chat, though. Should I just leave?
Yeah, they're calling you Desi Downer. Now, come on, guys. That's only once a month. It's only once a month on this show that he does that.
Well, to be fair, Nathan, it's once a week on the rewind too, but just saying.
On this show, it's only once a month, though.
It's very true. Yeah.
No, let's talk about Sprint. Yeah.
So we finally got to see sprinting in like its natural habitat, and I think it looks great. I think you can tell when they're like moving, right? I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna feel good when you're trying to get from A to B. But I love that they talked about, in addition to just, hey, there's sprint, uses endurance, how you might use it. And one of the things that was mentioned was getting around mobs before they notice you. Anyone else catch that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was talked about, basically using the sprint mechanic as a combat tactic more than a locomotion or a traversal tactic, right? Like they've talked about endurance being repurposed for movement and travel, and sprinting is, they're thinking of it more tactically, I guess. So I think that's interesting, and they said they're gonna tie the speed buffs, uh, back to endurance. And maybe I'm didn't write this down correctly, but what I heard was tying speed buffs back to endurance to help keep those sort of from getting too powerful. But
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at the sprinting, I mean, it's going pretty fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the thing that kind of stands out to me about sprinting was how it ties into endurance, which, although it was said it was like a fairly fast, replenishing thing, um, I have to give props to the editing and the creation of the video, because didn't they demo someone that misused their resources and then they try to sprint away and it doesn't work because they had already used their resources.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of people too, like doing things like weird tactics where like they're getting just a little bit over their head. They sprint, get enough, they can't outrun this particular mob with its disposition. So they just sprint around, causing the enemy to have to path around a cliffside or something. And while they're waiting, they're getting some hots cast on them, etc., and trying to get that a little bit of enough endurance back before the mob makes it back to them. So we're going to see some tactics, and I like how they thought of that, like they were talking about not every class should be able to kite, etc. So I love how they're thinking of how all these things kind of intersect and cause player behaviors.
Yeah, and massive props for just not only talking about it, but showing it in action in the video that we can now pick apart, like I'm sure all four of us are going to be doing for the next few hours.
Well, I think the animation too is pretty cool. I mean, it seems like a simple thing to do, but it's easy to get wrong. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Chromacore, if that was you're on the sprinting animation, but it's pretty sweet. It looks good.
All I was
Yeah,
thinking
the
was hit
sprinting
the
animation
evac
looked
button.
great. I was saying FD, FD, FD.
Brent and evac.
Yep. There you go. All right, man. Well, so Des, anything else you really wanted to talk about?
Something adjacent, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, what is it?
Since we're talking about sprinting, endurance and stuff. Like you already got a little bit into the downtime, so I'm not gonna like go too crazy on that. But bringing in a change in how food works. I really like the long-term food buff adding to your regeneration that already starts to get progressively better, right? Um, but it doesn't always have to. So not only did we get this dropped on us that, hey, food is going to be a bit different, we're not going to be eating mushrooms like 30 times during a fight because like we can't keep our mana up. It's going to be, someone mentioned, oh, it's like the EQ2 system. I guess it's like kind of, but at the same time, uh, the EQ2 system does, it's very basic, and this seems to actually go alongside with the natural regen changes that we're going to see, that seems to encourage the kind of longer downtime, but more intense uptime, which I'm really enjoying, imagining at least, but now seeing, I guess.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff, man. Right on. So those are great comments, and we will be talking more about this on the rewind this weekend. I can guarantee that, right?
Oh, there's gonna be. I'm sure once we like pick apart this video, because I've mentioned like several times, like I've missed so much.
I
Like
know.
there was so much in this. Like, we've been whining I may as well fess up to this. So we've been whining about, we don't see gameplay. We've, and we knew this was coming, right? Because of the networking and the HDRP conversion, all this, we know, but we've been thirsting for gameplay. And it's like, they didn't just give us a segment. Like I heard that, when they did the little intro card, and I'm like, okay, I wonder what the next 3 segments of the show are. And then they just kept going.
Yeah.
Kept
Well,
going with gameplay.
and credit to you, Des. You mentioned it. I don't know if it was last month or the month before, but you said your critique was, I want to see this gameplay, but I want to see this in game. So people, if you're watching this or listening to this, VR's listening. Like you come on and say like, hey, this would be cool to see this in this context. Like this is here we are, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I complained and threw my feet around and stomped and stammered about the Darkle Myrrh being available as a paladin, and look what
And
happened.
here we are.
Oh,
here we
so
are.
if you throw a fit, you kind of get your
Gotta
way.
throw a little bit of a fit.
Hey,
Gotta throw a little bit of
the
a fit.
squeaky druid gets the grease. All right, that's all I'm saying.
I actually misheard when they said they were taking the druid away from was it the Darkmere? At first, for some reason in my head it was Archai, and my heart just sunk.
Oh, we wouldn't see you for a couple days, I think.
I would have been pretty hurt.
We
but,
would have marched on VR for you, Des. We would have had signs and
thank
stuff.
Well, I have to specifically call out, just because we were so critical about this kind of a little bit longer downtime than we were expecting, I think, to see gameplay, right?
Yeah.
I got to give props that they came back just in force. Like, this was not a dipping the toes in the pool. This was this is the kind of stuff that people want to see, and I think chat really was attaching to it. They were, this is what we want to see. Even Ko was hanging out too.
Yeah,
which is
nice. Ko was there. That was cool.
But yeah, and lastly, I will give a specific thank you to Minus, because he talked about the mountains, and and I feel like I bring it up every single time because it's bothered me for so long, but it's so good to hear that they are doing some drastic updates and changes to the mountains, the rocks, and stuff. I knew it was probably coming, but it was just nice to get that little bean, and so thanks, Minus, for going out of your way to, well, maybe overhype it. So we'll see.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
Set it
he's
up.
seen it, so
yeah.
My expectations are now, not from, hey, let's take these kind of goofy looking rocks and make them, normal. But now my expectations are even higher. So,
oh my goodness,
you better deliver now, right?
Totally. Well, hey, that's a good place to put a bookmark in it there, Des. Thanks for jumping on, and we'll talk on the weekend, my man.
Always.
See ya.
The real question here is, who's going to cook food for Draq? That's really what we need to know. Because I'm not doing cooking.
Maybe I can convince Winter to cook.
Yes. Now we're
Nathan.
talking.
I'll start hyping it up.
Yes.
Tonight.
Yes.
Like, you know what's cool? Crafting, cooking, and MMOs.
Cooking is fantastic.
I think I see a cringe pony TV video in the future about this, Nathan. You can't wash dishes, but you can't cook either, apparently. So.
Oh, wait till you guys see how I got out of mowing.
Oh boy. The return of Plant Man. Oh boy.
Maybe. No spoilers.
Nice. All right, our next victim. How about we talk to Man of Rohan, our favorite musician in the Pantheon community. So, Man of Rohan, do you want to unmute yourself? And I will bring you in so we can hear your lovely voice. There we go. Man of Rohan, hey, how's it going?
Great, guys.
Yeah.
Good stream, eh?
Yeah, it was quite entertaining. I know. What was it you were mentioning in the chat? I'm trying to remember. We were on the same page about something. I think with the floating numbers. Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah, I really wanted. I mean, I was very vague. I said I want more details, and that wasn't very good as far as wanting real information. But I was just wanting to know a lot more about them because I had strong feelings both ways. Where too much on the screen. I'm just jumping right in, I guess. Too much on the screen is hard to deal with. And it just becomes a blur, right? in my opinion. I've been playing through Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive right now, and there's so many numbers and crap going on the screen right now that it's like I don't even know what that is. I'm just going to keep trying to do my rotation. That's what you end up doing.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
So but at the same time, I want to see a direct reaction to what I'm doing. I want to know that what I did is actually taking effect. That I did find old EverQuest. Don't hurt me, old EverQuest guys. But it was really difficult sometimes to know that what you did actually made any difference.
Yeah.
There are some spells and some things that I was even learning watching some of the No Sleep Till 40 stream. Some of the guys were talking about, because you guys are all veterans at that game, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know that spell did that. It was like flash of light or something, and it did these other things that I had no idea it did.
Oh, it does some things.
Oh my god! Don't get Nathan started on flash of light. It's not gonna be good.
It's really good.
I just thought blinding, and that's it. Or stun of some sort. But no, it does. It actually does other things. So if I can know, if doing like a UI, and anywhere, I want to know that what I'm trying to accomplish is actually successful. So
yeah,
just open a new chat box. Yeah, that's good.
Well, I mean, my concern was the same thing, and I think that as long as we can toggle it off, it'll be fine. I just I'm very much like minimalist when it comes to like any kind of feedback that I can't sort of put in its place. I just don't need it, right? Like I'd rather feel it rather than see it, and there are times when you're going to want it. I mean, maybe there will be times when it's necessary from a gameplay perspective, but just as a general, like if I'm out soloing like the monk was in the video, I would turn that stuff off, it wouldn't be something I needed.
Well, and if you have a group of people, or you have so many of those things, especially if you want to see, so I do sort of like the box so I can go back and look, but during the fight, I don't want to see all of that for the most part. But I do like some of the that's why I said I'm of two minds. I do like seeing on the left side how they're going up, and on the right side they're going down. So I have a clear distinction between what's happening to them and what's happening to me. I did like that. And I'm this is dumb, but I'm not sure about the font choices yet. So I'm not sure how I feel about
Are those final? I keep
Probably
asking
not.
myself. I don't think they are.
I'm sure they're not.
It looks like the Unity generic font.
Yeah. I mean, I'm complaining, but I'm not really complaining. I have a lot of faith in VR to see. Chris Rowan just said.
Yeah, there you go.
Not.
It's Comic Sans, man. They're working 1997 Word right now.
I wonder if you'll be able to change the font. Like an EverQuest, where you can you can alter that. You can download some sick font for yourself that you really like.
Yeah, got to get some papyrus.
Maybe put something in a pirate font. Maybe something like that, perhaps.
Speaking of toggling, though, because you can toggle off the damage floating numbers. But speaking of toggle, I really hope that there's a toggle for certain abilities. I can toggle to where the group doesn't know I'm doing them, like flash of light.
Well, I wonder if there might be an opportunity to say these kinds of things I really do care about. Like I really do want to know when I've hit a critical. I do really want to know when I have done this thing that I've been trying to focus on. Maybe I want to get better at it in the group, and so maybe I can take those out, segregate those out, or something. I mean, I'm getting very nerdy about it right now.
How do you feel about there's a certain sound effect that plays on a crit, and you naturally begin to just really love that sound? You know what I mean? Like when the crit hits, there's just
we got rid of crits. I'm pretty sure we did. The wizard, they told the wizard to no longer crit.
Just
the wizard?
Wizards,
no way. No, it's got to be everybody. No one gets crits if I don't get crits. No way.
They only nerf you, not us.
I think Darkmer Paladin gets crits. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out soon, Draq. We'll find out soon. Don't worry.
Now
right
I'm
on.
upset.
Don't worry. We got you. I got a solution to the problem there, Draq. Just give me 1 minute. But so Mana Rohan, that's definitely a concern that we both had. What else did you see in the stream that sort of caught your eye?
I was I was interested to see some of the feedback for when there was a special attack that he was doing, and it said silenceable
Yes.
in parentheses, and I was like, is that just a perception thing? Is that a everyone can see it thing, or is it because I as a keeper have gotten my perception skills up high enough? That kind of thing.
Yes. I had the same exact question because that is something that they've sort of there was talk in the last developer roundtable when they were talking about perception, not the most recent one, but one before. There was some talk of integration in this way. But the answer that Minus gave, because I asked that in chat, and Minus gave an answer saying it was just a feedback thing, and I wasn't 100% clear about it, but it sounds like it was just a feedback thing in the testing that they were doing and in the gameplay they were doing. It wasn't like a perception thing, so I don't think that was confirmed. I think it was more of just a demo or a design feedback, so they could see it, so they knew what to do. Right.
All right. Well, I got a little interested, so that's a little disappointing actually. I was hoping that there would be a way to gamify that a little bit for myself to say, well, maybe if I got better at this, I would be able to handle this certain fight a little bit better.
Like I said, I don't think it's off the table. I think that is something that they've hinted at in the past in terms of at least being able to see traits and dispositions. Right. The link between perception and traits and dispositions has been confirmed, so that we know. But in terms of like seeing an enemy's spell and whether it's interruptible or not or silenceable, that hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. I'd like to see it too. The more power to the keeper is my position.
Yeah, and then one very small thing is that I noticed when something was discovered, it said this thing and fields and something has been added to your book or your journal. And I thought that was, I didn't know if that was a just like a collection journal, like I now know about this thing, or if it was a quest type journal. I don't know what Minus was in the middle of at that moment, but I was like, oh, so it's an MMO. I want other things to do than fight. I know maybe I'm in the wrong room for this, but I want other things to do than fight. And I want to know, that's one thing that was a big drawback for games like SWTOR, right? Because it felt like there wasn't anything else to do besides do the quest and go fight, But I love the collecting. I love the exploration. I love that kind of stuff. So I thought that was little, but the one thing that totally different subject, but I was actually pretty surprised about the elf paladin. To come back to a little bit, not disappointed. I'm thinking elves to me have never been like a paladin kind of race, because they just seem to be more like we're just maybe it's the Tolkien elf lover in me, but they're just I'm going to preserve the past. I'm not fighting for justice. I'm not, I am not avenging anyone. I am just I'm keeping things as they are. I'm, making sure that the trees aren't getting destroyed, those types of things, but maybe they're avenging all of the dryads or the, whatever.
Well, these elves too wouldn't have as long of a history as Tolkien here.
True.
So I think that may play into it as to why they might be more willing to do things like that, because their history of this world will be much shorter than most fantasy worlds.
That's true. I think a lot of stuff like that, man, Rohan, I think I'm like, you have to see it in world. When we start doing storylines and doing, perception stuff and experiencing the world, I think, that kind of stuff really comes to the surface. So you start seeing how they became paladins, right? So I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm going to be looking at for sure.
Yeah, very exciting. But overall, I thought all of the class and race changes were awesome. I think they made total sense. And my son is upset. I texted him about the halfling warrior no longer existing. He had a very long no. So I'll have to see how he thinks about the Dire Lord. But I don't know. I kind of like the Dire Lord in general better anyway. So maybe I'll try and sell it to him a little bit more. But
nice.
Anyway.
Nice. Right on, man. Okay,
the Shire Lord. Yeah. Anyway,
the Shire Lord. Yeah, the Shire Lord lives on. Right on. Thanks for jumping in, man, Rohan. We'll we'll talk to you next time.
See you later, man.
All right, you guys. Hey, who wants to talk to Tehom? What do you guys think? He's in the green room.
Yes, bring him in.
Should we
Squeeze those beans out of him.
Yes, get the beans.
Tehom, get ready because we're gonna attack. Hello, Tehom, man. How are you? Thanks for jumping in.
Hey, thank you. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, no, great to have you. Great stream. What are you? What kind of feedback are you seeing here? Are you enjoying sort of the chatter and the commentary you're hearing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm well, first of all, I'm just glad that everyone enjoyed it. Right, that's always great to hear. Of course, there's always things that we're going to be able to improve upon, so the feedback is always welcome. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the positives, the negatives, I have to thank you guys so much. I always try and catch the show as much as I can because, I just appreciate that you don't back away from the critique where it's warranted, right? And I love that you give that voice. It's so important for us to hear. But honestly, yeah, I mean, I think people caught onto the things that I was hoping they would catch onto. And that's just what made me so happy is all those little nuances that we talked about, the ways that you can extrapolate things like sprint, the ways that certain animations are playing together, just all the different layers, the food. You guys have touched on so many things that, I mean, not that I expected any less, but I'm pleased all the same.
Well, I mean, we get excited because we can hear you getting excited about when Minus is like experiencing that. Like, I think that part in the stream really stuck to me because when he was like describing it, and he's so good, in my experience in playing with Minus has been he's so good at like the class skills and using them in the right, the way that they're like designed or the ideas that are behind them. He knows how to sort of put them together like that. He's very good at that puzzle. And when he described it to you, and you're like, yes, that's exactly like how I was envisioning it. It's sort of like I've created this puzzle and you just put it all together, right? So
yeah,
I love hearing that. It's super exciting.
It's funny because I was, catching up on every single thing that I can after the stream and trying to catch all the commentary. And, over in VIP, there's someone who's, okay, making that statement is fine and good, but coming from someone working for Visionary Realms, it comes off as a little staged or scripted. And I get it. Like part of that is like that's what we need to do, right? We're here to sell this game and convince everyone that it's what you want to buy and it's what you're looking for. But I get it, right? I get where that sentiment comes from. And not that me saying it is any better, right? I'm still here, working for VR. But I have to say, like, one thing that I really just loved about that moment is Tony actually reached out to me, like in Skype. He came back and I just played the monk and it feels like that. And he's like messaging me like all these things that he's loving about it. And I was just like, this is the first time that I knew that he was really getting his feet wet with it. So for him to share his experiences with me in the moment, I mentioned, the same thing had happened with the Rogue today. It's just so amazing. I really love it. And I'm glad that he was able to share that with everyone on the stream.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hog all the conversation. I'm gonna throw it to my co-hosts here because I'm sure they have some questions and comments for you.
Yeah, I really like Chat's comment there, which is how much would you say that the community feedback impacts development?
Oh my goodness. Look, at the end of the day, we're never going to please everyone, right? I think, we're going to try and please as many people as we can, right? We want to get some subscribers, but there has to be a limit, right? We have to stick to the vision. We have to do what we feel is right, and we have to have our own method to the madness. Otherwise, this game's never going to get built. You're going to have us going in 20 different directions every single time there's feedback. But no, I mean, we are always listening. You all even mentioned it earlier that, you've been able to see things that have come out of the things that we have listened to. And some of that is, we talked about how the combat updates were a product of feedback that was being observed in pre-alpha, right? The notion that downtime wasn't where it needed to be. The notion that, I mean, some of it is also what we're playing, right? The experiences of things feeling a little bit rushed or rushed in terms of like the pacing, right? Not in terms of the production, or something like the monk, having too much of a defensive toolkit, right? All of those things are things that we ingest. And, if, especially in this early phase, if we're realizing that things aren't hitting the mark, and they are not, they're never going to. I mean, that's just the first time that anyone on this team sits down and designs something, we are going to do the best that we possibly can do. And QA is going to get their hands on it and they're going to show us something that we missed or something that we didn't think through. And that's just the nature of the size of this game. and the sheer scope of what it is that we're trying to do. But really, when we can either vet out the things that we either expect to see or the things that we are looking for, or when we get surprised by concerns, if we can take all those things and align them with the core tenets, like align them with the core philosophy, and find a way to do it better, where the community helps inform that, we're absolutely listening.
Love it. I have one follow-up to that, something that I think about a lot, and I'm sure it comes up in conversations, etc., is after launch, right? And let's, the community will get way larger, right? And there'll be a lot of people that, let's just say, aren't part of the core, will join in the game, try it out. For a lot of people, this will be their first kind of experience with this type of MMO, right? Coming from other games where it's just a totally different experience. And those people are going to be really confused about some of the tenets, right? How will you guys battle that when there's tension against things that are core to the gameplay philosophies, but they are clashing with large numbers of people that don't understand?
At the end of the day, there is a degree to which we have to stick our feet in the ground, right? We have to say, this is the game that we are building. This is the type of community that we are looking for. And the hope is that by being resolute in that, by being resolute in the foundation and the fundamentals and the vision that drives this game, when we see those players, we can be comfortable saying, no, like this just isn't for you. And if you can learn to appreciate it, great, right? And we will give you a gameplay experience that, we hope will help you bridge that gap. But some people just aren't going to get to that point, and that's okay, right? Not every game is for every person, and the best games are games that don't try to be something for every person. I actually had a friend who, she'd never played any other MMORPG before. She was playing Final Fantasy XIV, which is a very, you have all played it as part of some of your, I'm going to totally blank on the name of the segment.
Classes 101.
MMO
Yes,
101.
thank
you.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember watching you guys rating the other night. And I was just reliving my past there. But it is a very linear game, right? It's your typical let me solo quest from 1 to, I think it's 90 is the level cap right now, and a vast majority of that time you're not even fighting anything, right? You're just running from one NPC to another talking. Then you've got your instance dungeons, right? Everything's on a rotation. It's a great game, but it is a great game in the context of the game that it tries to be, right? Which is one of these more modern, convenience and solo ability and accessibility. Accessibility is a good thing, but to the extent that, I can literally do everything, anytime, anywhere that I want to. All positives for that game, not so much for us. But anyway, so I had this friend of mine who had never played any other type of MMO, and I brought her into an old school MMO, right? We're talking, Gen 1, not EverQuest, but maybe if you saw my shirt and knew what that shirt was, you would understand what game I brought her to. Yeah, but and even though, we're talking about another game that has it's old, it's got UI issues, right? There's things that are just not user friendly. But even, overcoming all of that, the experience of that game, the social layers of that game, the fact that, I was able to group with her and level with her for 50 levels and actually play together, fighting things and coordinating with each other. She found it just such a more rewarding experience, and she just didn't know about it. And I think that's how we're looking to speak to that type of audience.
Love it. And it's a decent time too, because a lot of people, are going and veering towards classically spirited versions of MMOs, and they're finding that, that's what made this special, was the lack of flying mounts or what insert here. So it's a good time to be making a classically spirited MMO, in my opinion, because of people are starting to realize, there's a lot of fun to be had here that is missing elsewhere.
Tam, I had a question too. How do you Because I imagine, I mean, there's obviously things you can't talk about on the dev streams, but like, there's like, I would imagine that there's like lots of stuff that you can talk about, like this great like world that is being developed. So how do you like decide like what makes it in the dev stream, like what you're going to talk about and what like doesn't make it?
That is a really good question, and honestly, I would have to turn that over to our marketing team. They are primarily the. I mean, you know, when we're talking about. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I went to like dev stream for some reason. I'm not. We're talking about developer roundtables, right?
Either one, dev stream or developer roundtables. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, in both cases, they're pretty much driven by marketing, right? And so, granted, some of that's informed by what we have coming down the pipeline, right? As we know that we have certain things coming online, we begin building towards them. You know, if you look at the transition from beginning to talk about techniques into talking about the monk, into now showcasing the monk, right? We actually knew that we had that through line to build into. But beyond that, you know, when we talk about something like the DRT, the majority of that really does come down to the questions that are asked, right? Where they're literally try not to not answer a question unless we just cannot answer it. If a question gets skipped, it's typically because, you know, like the last one where Joppa just wasn't able to join us, right? So the questions that I would have deferred to him on, we just didn't ask. Yeah. I don't know if that answers the question quickly, but hopefully insightful. Yeah.
Well, let's ask the question Draq really wants to ask, and that's caster crits are out, right? There are no more caster crits.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought I remembered.
That being said, I'll say something on that though. Yeah, so caster crits are out, but kind of the point of that is that your normal hits, right? Like your true normal, I've not had any layer of a resist occur here. Those are going to feel probably better than a crit will. They just won't have crit next to their names.
Yeah, that was something you said right at the top of the stream tonight, was that, you know, you redefining or refining these, you know, governing combat formulas so that even just regular events, you know, hits, dodges, you know, blocks, everything feels weightier, right? So I think that's, you know, because nobody's going to be doing big, you know, critical hits at level 2, you know, like you gotta sort of bring people in with these, like just combat feeling good, you know, just base combat feeling really good. So I think that's probably a wise design decision. So really enjoyed that. You guys, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, yeah, we really want to make sure that early game experience feels solid and is introducing players to the fundamental layers of what to expect, right? I don't want to see us throwing completely new ideas and mechanics at players that they were never prepared for over the entire course of their. I mean, eventually when we get to like rating, sure, we'll get there, right? But the fundamental concepts of, NPCs actually have dangerous abilities that I need to watch out for. They will actually apply debuffs and dots. You know, yes, there are crits, there are dodges, there are blocks, there are parries. Enemies that wield shields will block more frequently. All of those fundamental layers are things that we should be introducing to players early because they're not overwhelming, right? It's just these are the rules of the game. And now you're going to learn all the different ways that those rules can be reconfigured and played with to make a more challenging experience.
For sure. Yeah, right on. Well, I mean, I think we could probably keep you here all night, but we probably should be mindful of your time. Unless you guys had anything else you wanted to ask Tehom before we let him go.
What do you think was the most exciting part of today's stream?
Oh my goodness. That's tough. I think everyone probably came away with, I mean, the people who wanted a specific race class combination probably found that to be their most exciting part. I will say, I think that was actually, despite the monk combat reveal kind of being the big focus, I actually think that the race class stuff was the most exciting from my end because I knew that we hadn't prepared anyone for it. So it was a little bit of a nice bonus and a surprise and something that we had kind of talked about, but not really talked about that much. But in terms of everything that we showed with the monk, I'm going to say the most exciting was actually that moment at the very end where Tony and I were grouped up, and you've got that ad come in and you see that mez go off, and players have picked up on some of the nuances. There's another layer of nuance that no one's seen in there, so I know you guys are going to go digging. So pay attention to that mez moment and what's going on there.
Ooh, I love that.
Shots fired, Desmond. You better figure it out.
That's awesome. Yeah, the race class thing. The last thing I'll say about that, Tehom, is that I need JN to now write a story about a halfling dire lord because we need that. I need that in my life. I need to make that a part of my lived experience, if you will.
Yeah, we
So
need
if you
a
can-
we need a halfling dire lord hero now, don't we? Like
yes, a signature
a
character.
signature character. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Pass that along.
I will do.
Okay, great. Right on. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Tehom. I really appreciate you jumping in the green room and coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and keep up the great work.
Right on. Thanks. We'll talk
Thanks,
to you later.
Theo.
Yep. Thanks, Sam.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up with John Wayne tonight. He's been in the green room since the beginning, waiting too. So I don't want to skip out on our last caller. So John Wayne, we're going to bring you in. Hey, John Wayne. I'm sorry to make you follow Tehom, but gotta get you on the show still, right?
You were the only one great enough to follow Tehom.
Yes.
There's no way. No way. There's no way. Like, I don't even know what to talk about because, like, you had Des talk about my point, which was the sprint, and
Well, you know what? What did you think of the combat animations? Because we didn't really talk about those yet. I mean, we talked about being close and sort of the aspect of being up front in melee combat. Did you think that the monk animations, how did they strike you? No pun intended.
I'm liking them so far. I think that the animations have come a long way from the previous streams we've seen to now. Like, it's leaps and bounds, and I'm just hoping that those rest of those classes are going to get features here in the future. We're going to get more to follow because I'm looking forward to some shaman healing again. We used to see shaman all the time. Now I never see him.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm having withdrawals. Like, my Kool-Aid's gone. I haven't get a good drink, man.
Well, I mean, what they did say about the animations in the other class is that they're bringing their animation suite up to the same standards as what we've seen with the monks tonight, right? So, if you go back to that old shaman stream where they were showing those animations, they're probably going to look a whole lot better now, just based on the things that they've done with the monk and trying to get all the other classes up to the same level of definition. It's in, like, they're on the screen right now as we're talking about the monk animation, so it's kind of cool because I really liked the one where it's like he puts the staff into the ground and sort of like does it's a very strange move, and it's not something I would like be able to tell you what it is, but it's really cool.
That's the one where you like hit their big toe. It's
Yeah.
a stun. It's a stun. You hit their big toe, they're like, ah, and they're stunned for a couple seconds.
And now instead of
think if
charging
you
up the
went to
fist, you charge up the staff now.
Yeah. I don't think
that's
if
right.
you went to self-defense school, I don't think they actually teach that move in self-defense
teach that.
where
Yeah.
you slam the pole on somebody's big toe. I don't think that's
I
actually.
don't know. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't think any of us are qualified to make that comment, but I'll accept it for truth as it is, Draq. Yeah, right there, the one that's on the screen right now. Anyway, I really like that. I like different types of animations. I think that looked pretty cool.
Oh yeah, what I'm looking forward to most of all is as we see these other classes come online, we get some gameplay footage or even some alpha testing footage, maybe. We'll get to see. I'm really excited to see the different states and how they interact with each other, and the animations for the different states, like the windswept state and so on and so forth. Like, how much more impactful is Drax's fireball going to be when he hits that windswept target? Like, I want to see that pizzazz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's extra
sure.
pizzazzy, then I'll make sure to have monks in my group.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, but otherwise, it was a good stream and a good talk. I'm glad Tehom came over here and gave us a little chat here. It's good, nice. Now, I would say, I do want to just reiterate on the sprint. So, how many people are going to have a loadout with some gear for sprint? Because, like, that seems like, because they're going to allow us to switch loadouts and you can switch your armor. So, you're just going to carry around a set of armor to keep your endurance up so you can go ahead and do travel mode with high endurance.
Yeah,
just like you'd have climbing gear and stuff. Like, I'm really to see that. I really wonder if that's how it'll be. I really wonder if that's how it'll be. Like, I can see that happening. But I still think if they're going to have sprint in the game, if their walk speed is about a 10 right now, I'd like to see that rolled back to about an 8 and make that sprint even more impactful.
Interesting. I did like what they said about, they have to be mindful of, taming. There was mention of the taming skill that they've mentioned in the past and how that, they don't want to layer it up too much where you're just zipping across the world at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, right? So Yeah.
You're not Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, not Sonic the MMO.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I wonder if weight will factor into that too.
I bet it will.
Because
That would be nice.
they've said no coin weight, but I'm assuming that like gear and other stuff's gonna have weight, right?
Right.
And if
right.
you're over the weight limit or over what your strength can carry or whatever, is that gonna slow your run down?
Like if they're actually going to have encumbrance in the game.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
We'll see, yeah.
A lot
Why
of good
didn't
things
I
on the
ask that when
horizon.
Tehom was on? It's too late.
You missed your chance.
little too late. You'll have to wait till next time.
Yeah.
Well.
Right on. Well, thanks, John. Appreciate you always stopping by. It's been a while since we've talked to you, so it's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to beat myself up because last month I was so excited to talk about crafting and give, Nefel my my whole rundown of why satellite markets are going to be the best thing in the game. But unfortunately, I had to go back to work.
Well, there'll be another chance. I'm sure we'll hear from Nefel again soon. So, right on, man.
Work.
Well, don't be a stranger. We'll talk to you next time, dude.
Yes, sir. Yeah, have a good one.
You
Have a
too.
good one, man.
All right, guys. Well, we've run over time here for sure. So, do we want to wrap it up there?
Yeah, let's wrap this thing up. I mean, Pantheon Dev in the P+U. Let's put a stamp on this thing and call it best P+U ever.
Agreed. What a great surprise. What an unexpected treat to get to talk to Tehom. And I mean, I had millions of questions, but again, we would have been here till midnight if we just let ourselves go wild. So probably better that we.
Yeah, and then no dev would have ever came back.
Yeah,
in
no,
there.
never come back.
Exactly. I don't want to expend all our dev time in one go. So.
All right. Well,
Right
let's promo some stuff for this week. Nathan, what do you got coming up?
Let's see. Tomorrow's P99 night, and then Saturday night is Cringe Pony TV. Everybody, make sure you come. I've been working hard, making some high quality cringe for everybody. And then Sunday we do the D&D. We're going into a homebrew on the Weave and Void channel.
Speaking of Cringe Pony TV, Draq, do we have a little something we want to?
It would take me a second to set up, but I could do it if you wanted to.
No. If you had it ready to go, I would say yes, but maybe we'll leave it for a surprise for later. So
okay, okay.
Draq and I have created a little fun thing for the next episode of Cringe Pony TV.
Nice. Have you sent it to me yet?
Yes, it was in chat. You didn't see it.
I haven't seen it yet. Okay, awesome. Yeah,
Okay.
There is a new section on this Saturday's Cringe Point TV called Community Cringe because I got one from you guys, also got one from Mugen. So that's going to be a new section, Community Cringe.
So
Awesome.
so we could bean drop that myself and Therek will be in the Cringe Pony this weekend.
Yes.
So be there 11 p.m. Saturday night, 11 p.m. Central, 12 a.m. Eastern.
Perfect.
Yep. On your YouTube channel, right?
Yep, it's live. It's a live show.
Nice.
Therek, what about you?
I had a lore video go up earlier this week on Tuesday. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was all about the holidays in Pantheon, and people seem to enjoy it. So I'm very happy with how that one turned out. And then, of course, this weekend, as I mentioned earlier, me and Desrin are back for episode 105 of the Rewind. I believe it's 105. So we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be breaking down all the stuff we didn't talk about tonight from the dev stream, and we're going to be looking for that bean that Tehom hinted at that we didn't see. We'll figure out what that was, and we'll get it to you for Sunday.
Des and Stans are going to be going through that video second by second looking for it, right?
They've probably already found it.
Already are, yeah.
Nice. Well, for myself, we've got the two streams. The Monday night stream is our EverQuest crew. That's Norath After Dark. So if you are up late on Monday, you should definitely join us. We have a ton of fun on that. And then Tuesday is the MMO 101, and we are doing EverQuest. And we are having a ton of fun in that. We're doing the Yellowneck server, so that's the TLP server. So we're going back to classic EverQuest, and it's fun being on a new server. There we see lots of people. There's lots of people around us. We got trained a couple of times. It was a good time on Tuesday, so make sure you join us for that. And I think I got a raid. I got somebody on we can raid. So I think that's how we'll go out here. Let me get to the thing here. But thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Dude, I had a great time tonight.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. Great chat. Great. Thanks for everybody for coming out and hanging out with us. It's always fun.
So we're going to raid Dirty Old Socks. He's an EQ streamer. I popped in on his stream a couple of times. He's really good. So make sure to just give him a little Pantheon Plus love and just say hi. Have a great night, everybody. Everybody wave bye-bye to the people.
Good night.
Bye.